Well, that's a frightening thought. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, one quick question. Yesterday, during Trevor's in-game media session, he mentioned that Josh has been working a little bit at second base. Is that something that's been going on? Something we could see? Just curious.
Well, I think he might have been referring to some of the shifting that we'll do against left-handed hitters. You'll see Josh on the right side. I think that's probably what Trev was referring to.
That's my long question. Thanks, buddy.
Okay.
Tom Sargent, go ahead.
Buddy, I watched the Sheffield performance yesterday. He had a good one against the Dodgers also. What were the things that you guys did with his mindset? Because I think as we've talked before, there's nothing wrong with the man's stuff. It's just getting it across the plate.
Yeah, I think there was a slight mechanical adjustment with his shoulders on his setup. He was closing off his shoulders a little bit too much, we thought. So Darryl, Scott, and Steve Foster and the pitching guys brought him in. There was some videos shown, and in simple terms, more of a realignment of his upper body to give him maybe direction from the start, more of a direct line towards home plate. I think Jordan recognized that could be helpful, and he took it into a bullpen session and then has taken it in these last two games, and it seems to have maybe corrected some things. But I think there's an effort level, to all pitchers when they make their pitches. I think with Sheffield there might be a little bit more of a max effort. We've used that term before. That might create some variability with control and command. So, we're just trying to, whether calm is the right word, we're just trying to, make sure that he's not overthrowing the baseball, and mechanically we get him in a good position to give him his best chance of getting the ball in the strike zone. But agree, good arm, good stuff. The last two outings have been solid. He'll be back out there, hopefully maybe another handful of times before the spring ends.
Yeah, when a guy is under that thing to make a team, and he has a bad outing like the one against the Giants, do you really watch to see how he reacts to
Sure.
it? It looks like he reacts pretty well.
You watch everything, Thomas, as you know. We've talked about that. Every day is a test. Players, no matter who they are being evaluated and critiqued. But it was good to see him bounce back for sure. There's no doubt about it. Baseball's an everyday thing. There's a ton of games, 162 during the season, 30 games spring training. There's simulated games. There's B games. There's a lot of competition that we watch, and you always see how players react, to good or bad outcomes. And with Jordan bouncing back from that Giant game, that was a good sign.
What has been the overall quality of Ryan McMahon's at bats this spring? I know he's working towards something, but are you seeing that quality hitting the pitches he should hit?
Well, again, he is working on some things that trying to carry over from some of his off-season work. I think overall fine. I think he's always has the ability to control the strike zone. Rarely does he expand the zone and chase a lot of bad pitches. So his strike zone awareness is always pretty keen. I think so the overall at bat has been fine of what he does and what we ask him to do. Maybe the results aren't there statistically, but again, there's daily work going on, prior to games and in game, to get him ready for the season. This is still exhibition season, and guys are, focused on things that they have to put into play, come April 1st, and Mac falls into that category.
And last one for me. How do you see your center field situation? Is this a situation of matchup versus the opposing pitcher? Would you rather see one of them take it and run with it?
No, I think I think with this group of players, Thomas, I think that it could be matchup related. It could be how a guy's playing, whether he's performing on a regular basis, and that player will play. But as you know, I think with this group especially, where they are service time wise, how we think they're going to handle things physically and mentally, I think the at-bats, could be spread around for a number of players that we think will benefit those players. So, and they're getting to that point now of being, I think in their mind, major league players. And then the next step is becoming, every day, 550, 600 at-bat players. And, obviously we have a couple of those in Chuck and Trev. Cron's proven to, he can have success with, 450, 500 at-bats. Mac had a big year in 19 in regards to the number of at-bats that he had. And the other guys are approaching that. So, again, I think the at-bats will be spread around.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Patrick Saunders.
Good morning, buddy.
Hi, Patrick.
You touched on it just a moment ago. CJ Cron, obviously, news came out that he made the team, which is,
right,
I think, what we all expected. But he did come in on a minor league deal, and he certainly had to show you guys some things.
Sure.
So what has he shown you this spring in some specifics that convinced you, one, not only that he would make your roster, but that he, is going to get a lot of time at first base?
Well, again, you look at you break down the skill set. You look at how his body's moving. He seems to be healthy from the knee situation last year. So physically, he's in a good spot. And then you watch the practice. You watch how he's moving. Is the body firing? You look at the defense. And then for CJ, the big component is the offense. So you look at bat speed, you look at pitch recognition, you look at what he's doing during his at bats in these Cactus League games, and up until yesterday when we officially made that call, we saw what we needed to see. We saw bat speed, we saw exit velocity. We saw him handling certain pitches that you need to handle, come April 1st. Everything was lining up for him to, be a productive, hitter in our lineup during this coming season.
How is he in terms of, he's not particularly old, but he's one of the older guys on
right.
The rest. How does he fit in? How's he, in your view, how's he meshed with his new teammates and atmosphere? You got a good vibe on that?
Yeah, I do. I think it's been great. I think the players can probably speak to that a little bit better than me, but from my vantage point and what I've observed and even talking to our own players, they've really come to, in a short period of time, really have enjoyed him being here as a Rocky. It's not unlike Mark Reynolds, how he was received here amongst our group. Mark was a little bit older when he got here than CJ's 31. I think Mark was a little bit older, but you can draw some similarities too of what CJ can bring to this group. I think the same as with Chris Owings. All right, we saw that last year, but I think if you ask the guys, they'd say that they're excited to have him as a teammate. He's got a good personality. He likes to compete. He's loose but yet focused and intense. He has a nice way about him.
And one more for me. We spoke with Austin Gomber yesterday after his start. He said he felt, other than his curveball maybe not quite being where he wanted it for one game, his stuff was his best, he felt, all spring. But he also mentioned something, buddy, which I think surprised me at least. He said when he first came to the majors, he didn't know if his fastball was good enough to get big league hitters out. That's what he said. But he said he's since come to trust that.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your reaction would be to that.
Yeah, well, in this day and age, I think, a lot of players, pitchers, who throw the ball around 90 miles an hour, 91, 92, that in this era is perceived to be maybe less than an average fastball, right? By some people's accounts. I'm not one of those. I think every fastball plays uniquely to that pitcher. For instance, we've seen pitchers who throw the ball in the upper 90s and get waffled. And we've seen pitchers who throw in the high 80s or low 90s, and if they know how to pitch, they have success. So, probably there's some pitchers who maybe get into professional baseball and they look around and they see big arms as their teammates in the minor leagues. They watch major league games and they see big velocities. And they might, at some point in their early careers, think that their fastball won't play. But as you compete and you perform and you put up numbers and you go level to level and you see that your fastball does play, then you start gaining confidence in those thoughts of maybe not having big velocity go away. So I think I can't put words into his mouth. I'm just after this question, I'm thinking that's maybe a partial answer to that. But for me, his fastball plays. We saw it yesterday against a couple big league hitters in Contreras and Baez, who are good fastball hitters. And, he threw a 91, 92 mile an hour fastball by those guys at the top of the zone. He choked off some swings on pitches on the inside corner with good fastballs. So, his mix of pitches and his variance and velocities will improve the look of his fastball. He had a good changeup yesterday. The little cutter slider he throws, the big slower curveball, which I agree with him yesterday wasn't on, but yet he was very effective. Through his 70 pitch outing. So his fastball plays for sure for me.
And one more on Austin. You've mentioned multiple times about how you like how he attacks, goes after hitters. You like the pace in which he pitches. I haven't really seen him pitch very much. So I'm curious, how is he at spotting the ball or location? Because I know you're huge on that.
Yeah. Well, again, the high end guys do it, right? The pitchers who pass the test of time and have great pitchability, they command the ball. They throw it where they intend to throw it. I think Austin he's going to be a strike thrower, so I think the control grades will be great. I think the walks per innings pitched will be fine. Now his challenge is to get the ball in good spots, and I think he's pretty good at it. All our guys have that challenge. Nowadays some velocity sometimes trumps location if you really have outstanding stuff. But again, I think the challenge for all pitchers and their goal is to throw the ball where they intend to throw it, especially with the fastball. So again, I think his command grades are solid. Again, improvement always for all pitchers, but control first. Let's get the ball in the strike zone, and then command second. And I think he's working on the command part.
Thank you.
Tracy Ringlesby, finish us up.
Quickly following up on Patrick, and I mean this in a positive way, but given your history as a player, as a pitcher yourself, do you think that gives you a little bit better feel and understanding for, say, Gomber, guys like that?
Yeah.
Because you weren't overpowering, but you pitched well.
Yeah, well, thank you. Obviously from a coaching perspective, when I have conversations with the pitchers, whether it's relief pitchers, starting pitchers, and probably more specifically left-handed pitching, whether it's Kyle, whether it's Gomber, whether it's some guys in our bullpen who are left-handed. I speak from a place of I've been in their shoes. I know what they're going through. So, and that obviously helps some of my credibility when it comes to coaching and teaching. So, and I think I've always, even when I was pitching coach, when I was in San Diego, I think that that part of me as a player, helps my conversations with with the pitchers. And also, even conversely, is the conversations I have with position players about hitting. Obviously I don't get into the mechanics and a lot of those things, but from a pitcher's perspective, my conversations with hitters over the years have been great because they've picked my brain on what pitchers are thinking, and we'll critique strategy and pitch selection, what a pitcher might do to a certain hitter on our team. So. It works a lot of times both ways to the benefit of our club.
Go back to Thomas really quick to finish. Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah, really quick on the what we like to call the 26th man type decisions, where you've got guy Greg Bird with a bit of a track record, guys like Daza, Joe, not as much track record. What do these last few days of spring training, what are you looking at? Is it results? Is it what you see in the box? Do you go on what track records you know? How do you make those decisions?
Yeah, I think it's all of those, but I think mostly it's what we see. If you're just speaking offensively, it's what we see in the box, right? Because a lot of times the results statistically don't tell the whole story, right? A guy could go out today and hit 3 line drives, and they're all caught, and he's 0 for 3 in the box score. Another fellow might get jammed once, get a blooper. He might roll a 16 hopper through the hole, and he might hit a pop-up that's lost in the sun, and you got 3 hits, and the guy's 3 for 3. And it might increase his spring training average, 150 points. So it's what we see in practice. It's what we see actually in the box as far as the quality of the at-bats. It's what we see on defense, because in the National League now, there's no DH. You got to play in the field. So we're looking at everything. Okay, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.